Hello and welcome to another StarCraft 2 co-op video. Today we'll be looking at another post from a Chinese forum about the upcoming mutation. It's my most hated map, picking up crystals with lava. There's also Fatal Attraction. Wonderful. Difficulty? Depends on who you pick. Fatal Attraction is one of the most disgusting mutators. Many people just F10Q when they see it. If your strategy is easily affected by Fatal Attraction, not only will Fatal Attraction be the main focus, but you'll also be blown up n times by the Walking Infested from the attack waves. If you mass units, you will get chain exploded easily and then have to regroup your forces. In other words, if your strategy isn't affected by Fatal Attraction at all, or if your ability to gauge distance is good and you can deal damage from 9 range or more, this mutation will be relatively easy. After all, it's Walking Infested and not Alien Incubation, so they're slower. When soloing Endless Sparkles, you have no choice but to take a total of 200,000 damage after getting blown up the entire game. However, no matter which commander you choose, it's best if you make some static defenses at the entrances. Otherwise, infested civilian leaks or the enemy's workers will get to the mineral line and pull all your workers after they die. You'll have to issue commands again, which is annoying. Second, I suggest intentionally hiding some workers in the corners of the high ground. In the event that there's an infested civilian leak, they'll head towards your main or natural. At this time, if you pull workers from your base, those workers might get attacked by the infested. Recommended commanders, Dehaka P2. Why is it always you? Pack leaders aren't affected by Fatal Attraction. They are thick and aren't afraid of explosions, so they can push forward. Creeper hosts defend the main and natural. Don't use impalers because they'll get pulled. If you have extra minerals, put some primal worms at the ramps to deal with the Walking Infested to avoid losing creeper hosts when you're not paying attention. I think that's what it says. Dehaka is probably the easiest option for this mutation. Carax P3. Put towers at the entrances, siege observers on the field, then solar lance the attack waves and crystal enemies. Get fire lance ASAP so you can cremate the infested at the same time. Zeratul Cannon Tool P2. Trap the artifact, select the monolith for the first artifact, cannons defend the entrances. Spread observers, use Omega ships to transport workers. Project cannons and monoliths against the attack waves. After dealing with them, use your Omega ships to transport workers to the crystals. If the enemy has a lot of tier 1 units, the yellow avatar's devolution aura will definitely reduce the number of problems. Lone Wolf. He's one of those, even though you get pulled like crazy, because his stats are good, he is still considered a good choice. Sirius is a pretty solid choice for pushing. Full medevac mastery. Tychus and Nux pretty much get in the medevac after using their abilities, or else they'll get continuously blasted and will find it hard to use their abilities again. Odin is also immune to Fatal Attraction. If the conditions allow it, save it for pushing a base. If it's a ground enemy comp, consider using Blaze and have fun playing with fire. Other recommended commanders. Manx P1, ESO everything. Put bunkers at the ramps. Don't forget that the Contaminated Strike itself deals damage, so you'll have to take out the attack waves and the accompanying infested before dropping some workers to pick up the crystals. If you don't, the workers will get pulled, so all their work will be for naught. In the early game, you might need to rely on your ally a little. Nova P3. Tanks defend the base, the hero unit goes out and blasts all the things. Main source of power is the airstrike and the hero unit, so defend your mineral workers with a good SimCity. Although Liberators aren't affected by Fatal Attraction when siege, they'll get overwhelmed when fighting the infested, so they're the same as Dragoons. Normally, you rely on Raven turrets and the hero unit to deal with the infested, but with this mutation has Fatal Attraction. Ravens have to throw their turrets down in advance before you attack to make things easier, so you're better off moving around with just Nova alone. The week after is Cold is the Void, waiting for strats from the pros. For Phoenix, if the enemy comp is good for him, he can go Caldalis only. Everything else stays at home to defend. Step 1. Expand. Step 2. Follow the demolition team and make defenses. Raynor. I suggest gambling for a ground comp. Don't even think about attacking. You can at least do something on defense. After all, tanks have 13 range. As long as you make a lot, you can stop ground enemies. You also have bunkers that come with guns to aggro the enemy. In theory, you can use bunkers with marines in them to stuff the infested that are near crystals. I'm not sure what this plan is, but okay. Kerrigan, the only reason to choose her is for her Omega Worms. However, if you only have Omega Worms, using the hero unit will be a problem. As such, the conclusion is don't pick Kerrigan. Kerrigan only has Lurkers, which have a delayed attack that is greater than Fatal Attraction. I think that's what it says. The main thing is she only has Lurkers. Artanis, use Unbound Fanatics on attack waves and crystal enemies. Ally deals with the pressure from the early game so you can rush Tempest to clear bases. Leave the Walking Infested to your ally. No microtransactions in this mutation, so right-click to your heart's content, meaning, like, run away. Swan, basic defense, towers and tanks. If your ally can get vision, P1 Swan can use the laser and drill everything. Zagara, all her units have shorter range than Kerrigan's, so it's hard to judge. I recommend sending waves of Banes and Scourge at the enemy, or make a bunch of Bile Launchers after your allies clears an area. I recommend this strat more. Carax, his strength is in P3 where he has unlimited top bar and instant cannons. He just needs to use his top bar. Amon has to think more about where to send his infested. Nova, remove your F2 key in order to win. Nova cheeses the bases, Liberators take out large enemies, Ravens toss turrets from the back, or simply have workers build turrets at the entrances. Abathur P2 Warp Gate Dragoon. The Locusts are so strong so much that Fatal Attraction is pretty much ineffective against them. The prerequisite for this is that your ally must be able to hold on until your hosts can go out. Morazun. DTs use Shadow Fury, then go back and wait for the cooldown. As a purely melee commander, it's best that she stays seated on the bench. Han Horner. I don't know why, but I want to recommend P3 and blast all the things. On the whole, it's crazy. I don't know if her mines will or will not get pulled, but the strike fighters won't. Use BCs to focus down large targets, then teleport out. Stukov. Not afraid of Fatal Attraction at all. P0 bunkers defend, P1 tanks attack, P3 endless marines. If it's air, it depends on which comp. If there's a bunch of BCs, you'll suffer a bit. Alarak. Throw electric balls from a mile away. Afterwards, move forward and dance with blades. I think that's Alarak. Not recommended for people who aren't good at gauging distance. Tychus, Lone Wolf, Sirius first, get all his gear. That's what happens when turrets aren't affected by Fatal Attraction. Dahaka. After creeper hosts send out locusts, you have to manually control them and focus fire. You need to right-click very fast. Phoenix. Not recommended if you aren't interested in excitement. The Rock Slapper can take out pretty much all the crystal enemies. Your income per minute is limited after all. You can't earn more than the amount lost to Fatal Attraction plus self-destruction. Mix. ESOs, done. First go to the expo and drop a bunker, then bunker up the area. After clearing the eastern side of the high ground in the natural, make an even bigger base of ESOs there. Stepman. Gary carries the early game, then infestors make unlimited units. Super Gary is not afraid of Fatal Attraction infested. E-Gorb once and they're all dead. After infestors are out, just keep throwing out roaches from the back. Zeratul. Ally can give his natural to Zeratul so he can mass cannons, then project them and walk over Amon. I'll play Toxic Tyrant on the Asia server and Carax P0 on NA. This mutation won't be a problem as long as you pick the right commanders. Manx P1's early game firepower is actually pretty good. The opening where you get 4 ESOs by 3:30 is very reliable. Put a bunker to defend the entrance after you move out in the mid-game. Something about ESOs, I think. Make 20 ESOs, fill 16 of them with units, and add some tanks. I don't know what's with this number, but okay. Edit. As a side note, in this version of Code is the Void, I have already polished a strategy with Architect of War plus an ally. Make towers, ally just kind of needs to kind of control some rifts. Monoliths are really strong. Yes, after watching many Code is the Void videos, the best method to copy is Carax plus Manx. The other various forms of showing off. The others are various forms of showing off or abusing the weak Devouring Scourge. Most solo videos aren't good for reference because they're against Devouring Scourge or some specific comp. So a relatively proficient strategy is Tychus plus Carax, Manx plus Carax, Stetman plus Carax, Swan plus Carax, or anyone plus Carax. Carax is definitely the MVP, no joke. Even though it can't solo against all any comps, nor is it considered good on OE, it's the same old mass monolith strat. Once you place enough towers, the game is over. The synergy between these three mutators, so this is back to Dead Heat, will cause many army commanders to die suddenly. Commanders with elite units or hero-only commanders can take self-destruction hits, so this is less of a problem for them. For Lone Wolf, each outlaw has its own way of dealing with this mutation. Tychus, right-click an empty area so Tychus doesn't fire. This is like run away. Move away from where he's being focused, then wait for grenade cooldown or kite the infested a bit, then attack the base. Sirius, put at least 3 turrets down at once. Once you throw them down, don't bother trying to control Sirius. Get the C gear to blast the infested. Nux, prioritize getting his S and D gears, which is the radius and the duration. When an attack wave comes, preemptively storm so he can avoid getting pulled in. When he attacks a base, he has to get in a medevac. The above are the primary sources of damage for this mutation. The following are Lone Wolf's cheerleading squad for the buffs. Blaze. Although he can't attack air, he can be quite good for attacking a base as the 4th or 5th outlaw with all his gear. He's good at clearing out all the infested with one button. If it's a ground AI, then he's definitely a main source of damage. Vega. After Blaze attacks, she goes in to clean up the air units. Hopefully these are scouts. I think they're scouts. This one. Scouts, mutas, banshees, things that attack quickly. Sam. Rather weak against the infested. Overkills plus eats self-destruction. Best not to pick him. He's pretty useless aside from taking out the bonus. I like how Cannonball is not even mentioned. To Tychus, the most disgusting thing about Fatal Attraction is that it cancels the commands you issue using Shift, so you have to keep switching screens between outlaws to issue new commands. Also, Lone Wolf needs masterful control, so it's best not to move together with your ally. I think that's what this is. Anyways, that's it. And that's it for this post. What advice do you have for this mutation? Comment it down below and I'll see you next time.